Hello, Internet friends, especially my family, my children, who are watching yet another installment of Dad, Tell Us Your Story, or Dad, I Want to Hear Your Story. So, in this video today, I am going to start on the section that says Dad Trivia. So, all kinds of interesting little tidbits about your father, about Dad. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. First question. Have you ever been told that you look like someone famous? If yes, who? I don't think I look like anybody famous. So, I know my dad has been told that he looks like Ted Turner. So, if you wonder who's Ted Turner, Ted Turner was the media mogul guy who created, I think it was created CNN. Was it CNN? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, if you look him up, who's Ted Turner? You know, silver hair, mustache, silver gray. He looked like my father. But me, I don't think I've ever been told that I look like somebody. If you think I do, reach out and let me know who do you think your dad looks like. Okay? Um, this is a good one. I like this one. What is your morning routine? Now, if anybody who knows me knows that I am a creature of habit, right? I do the same thing every day. Now, granted, during the day, obviously, my day is often filled with different things, but you could set your clocks. You could almost set your clocks by my morning routine. So here we go. So I don't use an alarm clock anymore. At almost 58 years old, I wake up pretty much the same time every day, anywhere from 6 to 7 a.m. Generally, that's when I wake up. So, wake up, I'm in bed. Okay, got to get up. Let's start the day. Get out of bed, go to the bathroom, morning pee, right? First thing you got to do. Then I go weigh myself. I want to make sure that I'm maintaining my weight, my current weight at almost 58. I hover anywhere from 186 to 190. So I'd say plus and minus 4 pounds, somewhere in that range. If I'm there, I'm good. Right, wake up, pee, wait, then grab my cold plunge clothes, go into the kitchen, drink a tall glass of water. I got to rehydrate, replenish. Get the coffee ready. You know, got the bun. You have to have the bun coffee maker. Get coffee started. Go down into the basement. Um, Put my clasp, uncover the cold plunge, take the ice, any remaining ice out, put it into the cooler because I don't like to plunge with ice floating around there. I've had bad experience doing that. Put the little clampy things on the end of the tub, which helps me push underneath. I play the same kind of hypnotic, relaxing music on my phone, so I get that going, put that down so it's playing. Get my towel ready, take a deep breath, take my robe off, hop in the plunge for 3 minutes, come out, dry off, hang my towel back up, undo the clamp from the cold plunge, put the ice back in, dump out any water from the cooler, back into the tub, cover the tub, get dressed, put my multi layers of clothing on to warm up, come upstairs, eat breakfast, which primarily I eat the same thing every single day, and it might vary every couple of months depending on my mood. Right now, I eat 2 strips of bacon in my little cast iron pan, so 2 strips of bacon with 2 eggs. If I have any leftover veggies that mom has, maybe some spinach, some peppers, maybe some onions, anything left over, I'll put them in there with the egg. If not, I'll just eat the bacon and the egg. Eggs, 2 eggs. Little hot sauce, salt and pepper. Maybe I have some greens powder. It's like a high protein greens powder. Sprinkle some of that on there. Sit down after my breakfast. I go through my ground news. I go through X, look at all the headlines, what's going on in the world of politics and stuff like that. Then I play my solitaire game. So I have my free cell solitaire game. I play the daily challenge every morning. I have been doing that for years. And if I hadn't had to reset my phone 200 and something days ago, I would have been on like 3 or 4 years of never missing a morning solitaire game. So I play my solitaire game while I drink my coffee. And then usually when I'm done drinking my coffee, and I've played my solitaire game and finished it, then I start my day. So then it's, take my cold plunge clothes off, put my clothes on for the day, contacts, lenses, shave, brush my teeth maybe. If I'm not done with my coffee and I'm not going to brush my teeth, then I'll keep drinking my coffee. If sometimes I don't even bother to do my hair because I ain't got much, but if I need to go out, and then I do work, and work is sit down at the computer and do my work for the day. If I don't have a lot going on, maybe I'll do something else. But that's pretty much my morning routine every single day. And the only day or days that deviates from that routine is on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday, after coffee and after I get dressed, then I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do for the day. And on Sunday, it's do that before I get ready to go to church. So, like I said, every single day is the same thing. And I like that. I like having that routine. It's very comforting. I know what I'm going to do, etc. Okay. What is your favorite guilty pleasure? Well, I love sweets. I love candy. I love chocolate. I love ice cream. So those are my guilty pleasures. Now, there's another like the guilty pleasures. I like beer. I like scotch. But those are the guilty pleasures that I really have to keep at bay because, well, if I'm being honest, they could be a problem. They could absolutely be a problem. Back in the day, growing up, I used to drink a lot more. I probably shouldn't have. It's not good for me. It's just not good all in general. And I have a personality where I could very easily abuse alcohol. I absolutely could. So while they're a guilty pleasure, they're a guilty pleasure that I really can't enjoy or I can't partake in because they can just turn bad. I will on occasion have a beer at home now, but for the most part, I try to avoid drinking anymore, especially when I'm home. If I go out to a restaurant, that's different, but I just try to avoid that guilty pleasure. Which television family most reminds you of your family? So my immediate one was the Brady Bunch, just because that was the TV show growing up. It's in it's what in our lexicon. It's in our zeitgeist. It's in the American culture of the Brady Bunch family, right? Blended family. 3 boys, 3 girls, husband and wife were previously married and got together. So, and I often say to people, we have 5 kids. We're the Brady Bunch. If we had multiple dogs, so they made a 6th child having multiple dogs, and people would laugh and say, "Do you have an Alice or did you have a Frank or whatever the butcher?" I'm like, "No, we didn't have that, but we were very much the Brady Bunch." I believe that we had our like anything else, every other family, we had our issues growing up and raising a family. In general, I think we did a pretty good job of raising a family. I think we loved each other through all of the trials and tribulations, all of the ups and downs, and there were a lot of ups and a lot of downs. We always seemed to come out in the end. At least I like to not to spin, I like to have a positive outlook on the life that I led, especially when it comes to family and raising children. So that's it. We were the Brady Bunch. Next page. Did you have braces? If yes, how old were you when you got them? I don't remember how old I was. I want to think that you had them on. Was it 2 years or maybe it was a longer? I know I was in high school. I don't remember. Um, Actually, no. You know what? It might have been 4 years, and I'll tell you why it was 4 years. Because I played the trumpet in 7th and 8th grade. I remember playing the trumpet when I had braces because you had to take the wax and put it on your braces when you played because you were always pressing your lips against your teeth and you had to put the wax on and just having braces. So from the seventh grade and eighth grade, I had braces, and I think I had them through almost all 4 years of high school, or at least a little bit more, because I had them when I got my senior photos taken. If you've ever seen my high school photo, I had braces. That's why I wasn't smiling in my high school photo, because I had freaking braces on. And I got them out mid senior year or the beginning of my senior year. So yes, I did have braces. Didn't necessarily enjoy having them, as most people didn't. I remember going into the Army and basic training and AIT in Gordon, and I had the retainer. You had to wear the retainer, and I lost it in AIT, Advanced Individual Training at Fort Gordon, Georgia. I remember it was either lunch or breakfast, and I set it. I had my retainer, and I put it on the tray, and I think I wrapped it in a napkin or something, and I lost it. I tossed it into the garbage, and it was too late when I realized I didn't have it. So yeah, I had braces growing up. Um, do you like roller coasters? Do I like them now? Yes, I like roller coasters. Did I like them growing up? No, I really didn't. As a teenager, high school, whatever, going to an amusement park and going on a roller coaster, I didn't like them. I don't know if it was maybe after the Army, but then I started to get an appreciation for them, enjoy the thrill. So yeah, I like roller coasters. Today, I will go on one or two, but I won't make a habit of it because if I do too many, the G forces and the lightheadedness that you get from a roller coaster, they'll make me ill the rest of the day. So if I went to Dorney Park or Great Adventure or some other place, I would go on a roller coaster, but might only do one, maybe two. And I won't do the ones. I'll do a loop, but I don't do the ones that are super crazy loops. It's just I enjoy it in the moment, but I don't enjoy it afterwards. Um, what name would you choose if you had to change your name? And I change your first name, and I said I wouldn't. I like being a Michael. I like being a Mike. It's like interesting. You're Michael and Mike. It's the name that can change depending on the season. So growing up, I was always a Michael. It wasn't until after I had a son that I kind of leaned toward being a Mike. And depending on where I am at work, I'm still Michael. I have typed my name, Michael, at the end of a billion emails. And it's a habit. But at home, obviously, I'm known as Mike. But I would never change that. I just enjoy the name. I like the name. I like now being a senior. So yeah, I wouldn't have changed it. Um, did you ever skip school? No, I never skipped school. But here's what I did do. Because I was born in October, I was a 18-year-old senior, right? So come October, I would be the next age when a lot of my peers who had their birthdays later in the year, they'd come later. So because I just missed that like August, September cutoff, I joined kindergarten when I was already 5, and then by October I turned 6. So fast forward in high school, I was 18 years old when I was a senior. So start my senior year of high school, I turned 18, and at 18, you're what? You're a legal adult. And I figured out very early that as an 18-year-old, you can sign yourself out of high school, out of class, and as long as you attended that day up to a certain hour, it didn't count as an absence for the whole day. So you could miss, let's say you missed 30 days of school. Well, the school could say you missed 30 days of school, you're not going to graduate, right? Or if you were on your way to missing that amount of school, you wouldn't graduate. But if you left, let's say you started school at 8 o'clock in the morning and you left at noon, 1 o'clock, well, you've completed the requirement for that day's attendance. So my senior year, I set up my schedule that after lunch I had like two study halls or whatever, two study halls and some other baloney class. I don't remember what it was, but if I missed it, the teacher wouldn't care. It's not like there was a ton of homework and or if there was homework, I could make it up. I don't even remember what the class was. I just remember that after lunch I could go down to the office, hand the secretary down to the office a note. Michael Kimball is signing himself out of class because he had to take care of things after school, whatever it was. Hand him a note, walk out of class or walk out of school, and I could go do whatever. I could go home and take a nap. I could do whatever I needed to do the rest of the day, and I wouldn't have to be in school. And let me tell you, I took advantage of that because I could just sign myself out, and there was no ramifications. By December of my senior year, I knew I was going into the Army. So I'm like, you know, it's awful to say now, but I knew where I was going. I really didn't feel like being in high school anymore. So I left as much and as often as I could get away with. If yes, did you get away with it? Well, yeah, I kind of did because I could. And what did you do during the time you should have been in class? I don't remember any specific thing. I know that sometimes I had a job as a senior in high school. I worked at Package and Wrap. I think I talked about that. So I would just go into work early. I'd get paid if I showed up. They'd pay me. They'd be like, "Oh, you're here early," because I would go in and after school. But I would go early, maybe, or like I said, I'd go home and take a nap. Maybe there's something I had to do at home. Maybe if I wasn't working that day, I'd just go goof off someplace. But yeah, I figured I would do something. Okay, moving on to the next page. Now, this is the family tree section, if you can see this. I'm not going to fill it out. Maybe I will just fill in the book, but I'm certainly not going to talk about it, my family tree. But going on to the next one, this is parents and grandparents. So what are we at as far as time here? Please answer your specific question about the parents and grandparents section. Oh, look at this. My phone was listening. Isn't that interesting? Okay, I'll just go through this page. Where was your mother born, and where did she grow up? My mother was born in Honesdale, Pennsylvania. What three words would you use to describe her? Well, it's two words, but hard worker, big hands. My mother has big hands. As a side note, her nickname growing up was Moose because she had big hands. Faithful. I think my mother, especially later in my life, as a teenager growing up, after I left home, my mom went through a transformation of let's say finding oneself, who she was, and she went through a very big period of she became a massage therapist. What's her purpose in life? And she really had this transformation of discovering who she was as a person, not just necessarily a wife and a mother. So to kind of and she discovered her faith all over again. So I put her as faithful. In what ways are you most like your mother? I said, I think I get a good portion of my faith from my mother. Like I said, later in life, she had a rediscovery of who she was and her faith, and I think I get that from her. I get my hard work ethic. Half of it, both my parents are like that, but I get a very hard work ethic from my mother. I think I get my fun loving and good nature from my mother, and wanting to spend time with family and friends. I think I get that from my mother as well. Going on to my father, says, where was your father born and where did he grow up? Oh, I didn't say. My mother was born in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, and the family business was the Honesdale Florist. So they had a flower shop. Think of FTD, right? Think of 1-800 Flowers. They had a flower shop, and you would go in there. So whether it was you wanted to buy an arrangement for somebody, a funeral, a wedding, whatever social event that you wanted flowers, this is where you would go. And the family business did not buy them, they grew them. So not only was a flower business, but it was also, plants, tomato, broccoli. Think of the garden section at Home Depot or Lowe's. The garden section, that was the family business. So they had the big retail store with all of the flowers and all of the stuff. And then up on the hill, they had the home that they were raised in, and they had all of the greenhouses where they raised all of the plants. So that was my mother. And when I say my mother was a hard worker, the stories that my mother could tell of working the family business. My mother was one of 8 children. And so my grandparents who had this business, they didn't have to hire anybody to work the business. They had children who would work for free. So my mother, all she knew growing up was that family business and hard work. On the flip side, my father, who was born in Bethany, Pennsylvania, he grew up on a dairy farm. So, kind of the same thing. The cows always need to be taken care of. There's always work to be done on the farm. You are raising cattle, you're milking cattle, you're taking care of cattle, you're taking care and raising food for the cattle. You have the farm, and then you're raising your own food, your own vegetables. So, everything about my father's existence growing up was the farm, sustenance, hard work. And if you wonder where I get that hard work ethic, it's because it was beaten into me by both of my parents. That's all they knew growing up was hard work. So that's all I knew growing up was hard work. What 3 words would you use to describe him, my father? This may not sound right coming out, but disciplinarian. And it was the first word that came to mind. I don't want to say my father was a tyrant. I don't want to say my father was a horrible father. But my father was strict. My father was a disciplinarian. My father did not let me get away with anything. And that was my childhood. My father was extremely strict. And I could also say he was loving at the same time. It may sound like an oxymoron or a contradiction. How can a disciplinarian be loving? My father, I guess, loved you say he would say this as he's beating me with a belt. This is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. I mean, there's a part of me that actually believes it. That the discipline that I received from him, he loved me enough to do that, and he loved me enough because he wanted the best for me. Now, one could argue, well, he was a tyrant and he liked to beat his kids. Yeah, he instilled heavy discipline. I don't think he enjoyed it to the point where he couldn't wait to lay his hands on me. I think he did it out of love. So my father was a disciplinarian. He was a hard worker. Every Saturday and Sunday, when maybe other kids were doing something or going out with their friends or they would do something recreational, I was spending my time with my dad. Whatever he was doing, whatever project he was working on, whatever chore he was doing, I did it with him. And I guess, the handiness that I have, the ability to fix things and to do projects, and the MacGyver in me, I get that from my dad because that was every day or every weekend growing up, spending that time with him. So yeah, disciplinarian, hard worker, very loving. My father was loving. He was not afraid to show affection to me. As much as you might say, really, really, but yeah, I would kiss my dad. People thought it was weird. I'd kiss my dad on the lips growing up, and people would look at that like kind of weird, but we would show each other affection. In what ways are you most like your father? I have my father's temper. Not a good thing, but I do. I have my father's temper. I have the hard work ethic of my father. I am cheap and frugal like my father. If my son is listening to this, you will tell me I am cheap, and you will say, Dad, you are so cheap, you're so frugal, you're all this, you're stingy. Guess what? I get it from my dad. And yeah, just everything about money, I get it from him. Save, save, save. If you're going to buy something, yes, sometimes you can buy the cheapest thing because it will work just fine. But a lot of times you should buy the more expensive thing because not all the times, but sometimes the higher cost does mean better quality. Better quality means it will last longer, and the more you use it, the longer it will, or if you use something often, it will tend to last longer. So, I get that from him. This anything that is not practical is a waste of time and money. I get that from my dad. Interesting story. Mom would often say to me, "You're acting like your father," right? And we've had these conversations of the character traits that I get from my dad that I need to get rid of. And one of them is that anything that is not practical is a waste. When we went to South Carolina one time, and Mom and I had Brielle. So we have Brielle. We go to an ice cream store on the boardwalk at like Barefoot Landing or something, and Mom wants to get her an ice cream. I'm like, all right, fine, let's get her an ice cream. In my mind, the ice cream that a 2-year-old should have is a little kitty cup of ice cream, right? She should just get the little cup and a little spoon, and she can enjoy her ice cream, and it's good. That's the practical side of me. What does Mom think? Let's get her the $6 big waffle cone. And I just I lost my mind about that. Why would you buy a 2-year-old a waffle cone? Now, in hindsight, she gets this waffle cone. She's walking down the street carrying this thing. It's bigger than her head. And the joy that my granddaughter had from carrying this big waffle cone, and she's strutting around and people are looking at her and they're smiling, and it's bringing joy to them watching this 2-year-old with this big waffle cone and ice cream. And I'm thinking to myself, that is a quality that I get from my dad, that's not practical. But but that's like joy, right? My granddaughter is experiencing joy, and what a wonderful fun memory it is to see your granddaughter with this big ice cream cone, and oh, look at that. So that's a part of my father that I get, that I have to actively think about and be called out on. Don't be such a curmudgeon, right? Don't be such a Not everything in the world has to be practical. It can be whimsical once in a while. My dad, like I think I had mentioned, my dad loves his family, loves his children, loves his grandchildren. I do get that from him. I love and adore all of my children. I love my grandchildren. I can't wait to have more of them. So I think that's a quality that I get. My dad was the provider and the protector of his family, and I think I get that from him as well. The idea of being a husband and a father and being that provider and protector of his family, I think that is extremely important in a man, right? Right along with being a man of God and being a faithful man, being a husband and a provider and a protector. So I think that's important, and I get that. I do have that from my dad. And along that, lastly, he loves Jesus. My dad is a man of faith. He loves Jesus. And I think even though I have had my struggles in my faith, I think the foundation I got from my dad. Okay, there's more on parents and grandparents. There's a page here, and there's another page here, and there's another page. Wow, there's a lot of stuff about grandparents and parents. So I'm going to stop here. I'm at I'm almost at a half an hour, which is generally where I want to have these videos. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you were able to learn a little bit more about me and about my upbringing and my parents. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.